This episode of the Leading Me Legendary podcast is brought to you by Vinyl Me Please. Join their Record of the Month club at www.joinvmp.com/LABL.
Let me live out my dream. Let me live out as what I intended to be. If you doubt me, then I can probably see why my success is not what you expected of me. But I'ma live out my dream. So let me live out my dream. Let me live. Let me live.
All right, check. Y'all tuned in to another episode of the LABL podcast, aka Leading Me Legendary. I'm your host, name tag Alexander. I don't know why I took a pause like that when saying the title of the show. We back at it. By the time y'all hearing this episode, it should be May 2018, which is officially Urban Podcast Month. Shout out to AJ and SJ from the College of Hip Hop, aka the Connected Experience Podcast. I say AKA, but also whatever. Y'all get it. Anyway, May is officially Urban Podcast Month. We declaring it Urban Podcast Month. Nobody had to tell us. We didn't wait. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, you know what? Those cats in the urban community are... No. This is what it is. It's an Urban Podcast Month because we said so. A lot of good things going on. And we back at it. It's been a minute. For me, you know, I've been waiting to drop episodes. I drop pretty much whenever the fuck I please. I'm an MC. I got to do music. Family man. I got a child. So, I don't just... no excuses. My content per se, I just feel as though I don't per se need to drop weekly, or because it's not like I want to keep up with pop culture all the time. Anyway, before we get into it, we got Dean Garcia back in here.
Hey, what up, though?
What up, though? You making your rounds. I heard you on the Connected Experience. I heard you talking a little bit, just a little bit. That was Hugo. Shout out to Hugo Beans. That was his episode.
Yeah, shout out to Hugo, man. That was a little something. Shout out to the Connected Experience too, man.
Definitely.
And definitely. So what's been going on with you, man? I know you say you're busy and stuff, and you can't really be podcasting because you got a kid and music, and what else you got going on? What's coming up?
And just to kind of speak on that, it's just basically like I feel as though you know the type of content I present on this podcast, and it's not necessarily anything where I feel as though I need to drop like a weekly or it's bi-weekly. It's almost like, okay, it's like drop when you got something to say or you got something that you want to present. For example, we did the episode with Nicole Churchill, shout out to her, where I wanted to talk about music license. You know what I'm saying? So we did that episode. We did the episode we did with, the playlist culture and the algorithms or whatever.
Right.
So I think those are like two. I'm trying to kind of stay in that pocket where it's more so informative. And then sometimes, of course, we're going to shoot the shit and talk about what's going on in everyday life. Because, shit, our conversations off the mic be like, damn, that would have been a dope podcast episode. What was that?
Yeah.
What, a microwave in the background?
No, man, my computer be making all kind of noise. Never mind that, though. Shout out to my MacBook one time.
Mark Zuckerberg tapped into your MacBook. That's what it is. That's what it really is.
Brother. No, this shit is crazy.
I didn't really want to make this episode like super long, but it's just like I wanted to kind of touch bases on this. You had some interesting talk points, but you asked what I had going on. I kind of bypassed that. My bad. I just been writing, man. I've been telling you, I done tapped into that pocket to where it's like once I get into the rhythm, because I had lost the rhythm of actually like writing my rhymes. I would always only do it when I felt like, oh, okay, it's time to create a song. And really, I was like, well, you know what? Let me try to do it now to where I can write, and it's not necessarily for like an actual project or a song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the really cool... My bad, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it almost became like target practice, basically.
No, I was just thinking about what you were just saying about not necessarily having time to always shoot the shit or you record the podcast or whatever. And I got to say, I think that's one of the really cool things about you dudes, that you do pretty good with the time management and that you actually make time for all of this stuff. So, I know that you're working on a couple of things recording, but then I get in the car and I hear, you and Beethoven in the background of a PAL commercial. Have we talked about that already?
I think we mentioned it we mentioned may have made. I had to go back and listen. I think I made light of it like on the last episode. But it's weird. It's like it's iHeart Radio, but like the main station that's playing it is like 92.3 FM.
Okay. That makes sense.
I caught a glimpse of it once, and the crazy thing is Beethoven is saying he hear it all the time. And he's like, I'm tired of hearing it. Being funny, but I'm like, man, I've only heard it like once. So it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good look with the Detroit PAL League. They actually got their own, Cornerstone Park, I want to say. So shout out to them for that, man. That's dope. That was a dope look just for them even reaching out to the music supervisor once again, Nicole Churchill, good people at Assemble Sound, just even deciding that they want to use that track. Like, all these artists you could have picked music from. It's like, nah, that's the one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so shout out to them for sure. And then that's kind of, and I think you said Cornerstone, right? So that's like the new place that used to be the old Tiger Stadium, right?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Hey, cool. And so I kind of want to talk about that for a minute because, I grew up in Corktown. So that's one of my favorite neighborhoods over there, right in the Michigan and Trumbull area.
Right.
But it's so crazy because I know that we kind of want to get into mental health a little bit today. And well, before we do that, kind of talk us up on what it is about mental health that you want to talk about.
Okay. You know what I think the perfect topic to discuss as far as mental health? And I said I was going to bring this up. You thought I forgot. Dog, how blown were you to tell me, yo, this nigga said Kanye West, no, you flat out said Timbaland produced the Takeover beat. We know how widely known Kanye West is for producing the Takeover beat. In fact, he even says it on the song. Right. If you go back and revisit Blueprint 2, point out the bounce, what'd he say? You made Takeover, do you got beef with Nas? And that's before I even knew who Kanye was as a producer, but let's just point out the fact that he said it. And then also, let's not mention the interviews that he's mentioned this in, and the fact that the debate was always Takeover was the better beat. A lot of people rocked with the Ether beat better, but the fact that people will say, man, Kanye killed that beat, and somehow you said Timbaland did the Takeover, and you held on to this point for a minute.
I did.
You even was like, "Oh, let me look this up."
Well, I held on to it for about 5 minutes. But the original question. So the original question was, how high did I have to be to mistake that information?
My nigga.
And the answer is pretty fucking high. So you remember that Friday was 420. Yeah. I said, Friday man, I don't know what they gave this nigga, dog. I was pretty fucking high. So that is one of the ways that I kind of deal with like anxiety and mental stress. It's just, kind of rolling up. And so sometimes I say crazy shit like Timbaland produced Takeover.
Everybody know it was Otis that sang lead on My Girl with the Temptations. Everybody know that shit. I was like,
it was so.
And then everybody come to see Otis. That's gonna forever be funny, mother. That's gonna forever be hilarious.
Nobody came to see Otis,
nobody came to see Otis. I wonder how that really made him feel, though. Like really, if that was really, because you know how people could over exaggerate shit for the movie's sake. But like, if that was really said in like real life, how could you feel like in the back of your mind, like I am a background singer, but damn, I did have a huge part in putting this group together, and this nigga gonna tell me, and I know he the dopest out the crew, but this nigga gonna tell me ain't nobody come to see me when that is a fact. I mean, people came to see the Temptations, but clearly David Ruffin was the star of the show. So for the star of the show to literally tell you, like, nigga, ain't nobody come to see you. Like, damn. Like, I hope that ain't happened for real. I hope that was just for the sake of the movie that was over exaggerated. Speaking of which,
like, no,
you seen the New Edition film yet?
You know I ain't seen the New Edition film yet.
Man, you ain't real, man. It's too much going on, man. I'm starting to question like a lot of your music credibility as a person that's a part of this culture. Like I know it's somebody else out there that probably ain't seen it, but you specifically, because you also ain't seen Straight Outta Compton.
I also have not seen Straight Outta Compton. No, well, at this point, at this point, I've seen the movie, but like not all the way through in one setting. Like,
everybody listening, y'all got to get on him. Get on Dean, man. He ain't seen Straight Outta Compton, and he ain't seen the New Edition film.
I mean, I ain't seen Black Panther either. If you just want to get all the way super 100 with it,
still kind of like fresh. Just a lot of people ain't saw that. That's coming to on demand and DVD,
nigga,
and Blu-ray.
That shit made $1 billion around the world. Everybody except me done seen it. So like, what's your point?
Where's it at? Where they open it up now to where they can actually like see movies? Now I forget where it was at. There's another country
somewhere in the world.
Yeah. They like just, specifically because how dope Black Panther was. That's crazy. But that's kind of like a pass because that's still fresh. The New Edition story and Straight Outta Compton, you on the clock, man. We weren't supposed to record this episode because I told you, I said I wouldn't record until you saw the New Edition film. You was like, all right, man, I'm going to go in and watch it that weekend. What happened? 420 happened, and you came out of here talking about Timbaland did the Takeover beat and still ain't seen the New Edition film.
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you, man. I had a pretty anxious weekend. It was pretty, it was almost too much, man. I almost fired myself from a client. And it was pretty much downhill from there, man. It was just so, we all independent creatives or whatever. We like freelancers.
You ain't gotta name names.
People,
we real, but you ain't gotta name names to air them out like that.
Of course. Why would I name names?
I don't know, man. You ain't seen the New Edition film. I don't know what you capable of, to be honest.
What kind of person do you think I am? Niggas, all right, so you want to know why I haven't really seen the New Edition movie?
What's that?
All right, so I shit you not, right? Mental health, right? So back in 2011, when I first moved home from Atlanta, and I was getting my freelance on as a publicist.
Word.
I ran into a lady who needed a bio for her son, who was a rapper from around the city, and he's all right. He's probably still doing one thing or another, but enough about that. She hired me to write his biography, and she was telling me about how she was down with New Edition and the Biff 10 and just on and on and on and on, right? And how Biff 10 was supposed to be picking up her son and just on and on. So I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, whatever. I just want to, write my biography and get my little, $50, $75, whatever I was charging at the time. And then, peace out. But you end up meeting people that want to make things more than what they are. Be like, yeah, let's do this and that. But then they never want to pay you. And so as it turns out, this lady who worked for New Edition and worked really close with Michael Bivins never paid me and just stopped taking my calls. And when I hear the word New Edition, I kind of think about that. Like, so it's like, no offense to them.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
No offense to them.
That. I ain't watching that. I ain't supporting y'all damn film on BET for the simple fact that these niggas connected to Mike Bivins wasn't paying me.
I'm just saying,
how about that?
Somebody needs to run my chips. That's all. And so I kind of had a similar experience over the weekend where, I have a client who I'm really invested in. Cause just for everybody who's listening, if you've never heard me on the show before, I'm a brand manager. And so what I specialize in is helping, like indie artists like Tag and other creative professionals get their shit together and make sure that they look good in front of their audience and whoever their partners are. And the kind of stuff that I do doesn't come cheap, but if I care about what's going on or if we have a personal relationship, that kind of thing is always flexible. And over the weekend, I just felt like I found myself in a situation where somebody was taking advantage of that flexibility. And it just went downhill from there.
Like, remember we talked about that off the mic about like just time being of importance. Like time is really valuable. You know what I'm saying? So
time is invaluable, but make no mistake about it, money is also valuable. It's equally valuable, if not more, because I could actually spend that shit. So don't waste my time and play with my money. And so that makes you do things like, you know, stay out all night on Friday and, you know, show up to the crib drunk or, you know, whatever you was on Friday night to, you know, to kind of calm you down and help you cope. And then sometimes you look up and that shit goes through the weekend. And then you find yourself looking up on a Sunday, you know, kind of trying to re-strategize and figure out how to not make the same mistakes. And like, so the only reason I talk about stuff like this is because I'm 100,000% sure that I'm not the only person who has these types of experiences, you know, to a more or lesser degree. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's very real. It's just, do you think that all falls under, because this, I'm interested and I'm glad that it's being approached more in conversations, especially in podcasts and like mental health. I think what it is, there's this box that people put mental health in, anxiety, depression. They put it in this box that if you have any of those issues, and I don't even want to say an issue, if you have problems with mental health, depression, anxiety, it's like they put it in this box that you're crazy. And really that's not the case. Even the other day, I was thinking the other day, I said, shit, everybody fucking got anxiety and depression. Remember, I brought the conversation. What are you eating, bubble tape?
Yeah, does it sound like I'm chewing something?
That's just the first thing that came to my mind was like, this nigga, you know, some bubble tape or something. Like, you literally had like the purple thing they used to sell that shit in. It was like,
no, of course not.
Doing the podcast. But it was just crazy because I've been to doctor appointments before, like just for checkups, and they've been few and far in between, but I never once recall I guess we would say the medical assistant asking, you know, giving you a test on anxiety or depression. I never recall that. So I'll say, oh damn, this is serious. I recently went last week and they asked me that. The medical assistant was like, do you have any problems with anxiety? And I'm sitting there. This is right after I got the tetanus shot and everything. I'm just sitting there. And, you know, I'm getting the full checkup, the full physical and everything. So I'm in my gown. And she's like, do you have any, I got to paint the picture. She's like, do you have any issues as far as anxiety or depression? And it caught me off guard. I'm like, in fact, I do. As far as anxiety, yeah. And she started discussing like the levels of it. And I told her, I said, well, in my mind, you know, it's kind of weird because I felt like if it wasn't at one particular level, then it kind of really didn't matter. It was like, oh, you can sleep that off and deal with it. But there's levels to this shit to where it's like, you worry about the smallest thing. And I even said, she was like, where do you think it stems from? I'm like, damn, I'm just here for a checkup. But it was like interesting that they was even digging that deep. She said, we're required. She said, our practice. They said, I don't know if all of them doing it, but she like, our practice is required to give these tests. You know what I'm saying? During checkups or whatever. Because anxiety and depression, that all falls under your health. Like mentally, you're not just going to a doctor to get a checkup and see how your blood is and if you're physically intact or none. It's like, well, damn, mental health falls under that. Why not check that shit? You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Like, we offer services that help, you know, your insurance should cover it in there. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So she started saying like, what do you feel gives you anxiety? And I just start saying like the thing I say, it's just like I worry about like the things that are like beyond my control. And I was like, I'm trying to get better at it to where I can just be like, all right, if this happens, this is the next step. I'm getting better at acknowledging if what could happen happens. I ain't saying no outrageous shit. Not like, damn, I could be driving up the street and the fucking road can blow up. Nah, I'm saying like shit that's where it's like it may have happened before. Nothing outrageous, but okay, if it happens, how do we handle this problem? What's next? You know what I'm saying? Like, it got to a point where most of us got used vehicles, right? And I kept having these issues during the winter with my whip. And it got to a point where I was scared to drive. Literally. I'm like, not like in the sense of, oh my God, I'm so scared to get in the car and I don't want to close this door. It was like, just fuck, I don't want to be driving.
No, it's just you don't want to get in the car.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And it's like you coming out of pocket again.
It just costs you every time you start that bitch up.
You know what I'm saying? Like that type of bullshit.
Yeah.
And just the fact, another thing she said, was there anything else? Like she said, cause yeah, I can understand that. And she like, life is hard. She was just being real. She like, life is hard. Like we out in this world. We just dealing with it day to day. Anyway, we dived further into it, and I was like, well, I said, my daughter, she's 5. I never really bring this up amongst people unless it's people I talk to consistently. And I'm like, well, the doctor asking, like, what else gives me anxiety? I'm like, well, I know my daughter, she's on the spectrum of autism, right? And that's a whole nother branch of anxiety, because I know my daughter goes to school every day now. Granted, she's in a class amongst children that are like her, but in that same building, there's other students that are not like her. You get what I'm saying? So, and then on top of that, not everybody understands it. Autism Awareness Month has just passed, so that was interesting. I made sure I kind of put the word out about that. It's like, I think people need to get familiar with that, like just getting more. Not necessarily saying get involved and donate. I'm saying like just to have that understanding, because immediately when people hear that, and this ain't even to go off like subject completely, but I'm just speaking to the sense of like how it gives me anxiety. Like it's like people need to get an understanding of it, because a lot of times if you mention like, yeah, my child is, she has autism or she's on the spectrum or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, and that be that. Or you know people that might know somebody who has a child that have it, or know somebody that have it. I don't want to say they specifically grow out of it, but there's things that can be done to like really work on you having a normal, balanced life. And I think that's what gives me anxiety, that progress. Like, okay, I know at 1 she wasn't doing this, but here we are now, she's 5 and she's doing this now. Like, there's a lot of strides and steps, but I know the progress. Sometimes it seems like it's moving fast, and sometimes it's not. So I think the anxiety kicks in there where it's like, damn, I cannot fuck up. Nothing can happen to where I'm at fault, to where it's like, damn, I failed, and now my child, you know what I'm saying, she relying on me. She relying on me and her mom, but at the same time, more so, they're all relying on me. And go ahead.
Yeah, man, that's something. I was just going to say that's something that I think about regularly, too. I think something that we all can relate to is patience. Like, the opposite of patience is anxiety.
Right.
Or at least, like, the opposite of our experience with patience is anxiety. Because, I just turned 30 about 6 months ago.
Word.
And so, like, the whole year for 29, and really, like, every year since 25, it was the one thing that I thought about every day. And I just kind of found myself fixating on it to the point where it kind of immobilized me, which was a really weird thing. And it's just one of those things where, like you said, you can't, you feel like you don't have any wiggle room to fuck up or to make sure that you're not hitting the mark. And so that definitely raised the stakes for you, and it like opens your awareness, and it kind of makes your eyes that much bigger, and not necessarily in a good way, because the more information we taking in, the more information we had to process. And like the way how fast we process information is really what hold us up a lot of the time, and like how quick we can move on a decision. And that's, but like you said, if it's a risk, if it's the higher the risk, the more time you want to take, being considerate.
Exactly, and that's interesting, because I did post this is the last Instagram post I made recently, one of the recent Instagram posts, I should say, and it was from Questlove, and it was talking about how to recognize anxiety in yourself and others. And one thing I thought about with anxiety was that it was just based on worrying, right? But apparently it was more to that. It was memory issues, overthinking. We always joke about that shit, like overthinking, avoidance, sweating for whatever reason. Like, damn, a nigga can't sweat. Insomnia, not being able to sleep. I was like, damn, I got my nights where it's like I just be waking up and it be at a fucking particular time damn near all the time. I'll be waking like, shit, I can't go back to sleep. stomach issues, said rapid heartbeat, headaches, another trouble breathing, constant worrying. That's like the main culprit to me. Trouble concentrating, another one, lack of patience. Well, we just spoke about what you just said. Needing reassurance. Oh shit.
That's definitely a deep one right there.
Yeah.
Because that's something where it's like you don't want to be too dependent on it, but you also kind of want to acknowledge that it's okay, that you like want to feel validated, that you want somebody to like big you up or recognize your hard work. And that's definitely something that we struggle with, especially as like artists. So like one of the things that I run into with clients a lot, especially is like rappers and like whatever their art medium is that, you know, a lot of them will create this stuff that they're really proud of, but then don't want to talk about it because it's too vulnerable of a position for them to ask somebody to play their record or to like, or see what somebody think about their song. You know what I mean? And, but it kind of underlines a confidence issue and like some past experiences. Because, you know, the last thing anybody want to do is not be taken seriously, in whatever your passion is. And so, like, if your level of understanding is spamming Facebook or, you know, doing things that aren't necessarily appropriate, you know, then that could muck stuff up for you, because you're going to have somebody reacting in a way that's going to discourage you from expressing yourself.
You like, damn, here I am.
From doing what it is you think you should be doing.
You like, I put in all this hard work and I created from this personal place, and then you spamming the links on Facebook and people like, yo fam, I don't really appreciate you just sending me these random links without asking me to check out the music. You know what I'm saying? And then you like, well fuck, like that happened enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't saying I did it, but I ain't saying I've done it, but it's just like, I get it. Cause I see these artists doing that, and it's like, I wonder like, dog, why do they do that? Like, why do you feel like, let me just go ahead and shove this link at you? Like, hey, check this out. Like, shit, it happen all the time on Instagram. You see it. Like, hey, it'd be cool if you could go to my bio and hit the link and check out my song. Like shit, then you don't do it.
But,
you know what I'm saying?
But part of the reason is because just people don't really, they're not confident. They don't feel comfortable talking about themselves or really just like being like, yo, I'm the shit and you should listen to this.
Yeah.
Cause it don't even necessarily always have to be about spilling your heart out or trying to get somebody to buy into a sob story. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of us should be more comfortable saying that, especially coming from a place where we come from, because, you know, 9 times out of 10, a nigga in Detroit is dope as shit. Yep. But, you know, you gotta be able to say it in order for anybody to believe you.
Like the whole needing reassurance thing, procrastination, those go hand in hand, because that can make you hesitant to get the work done. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like if I get it, you know, I do it. I'll admit it. Like I'll tell you, like you like, man, you should probably record this or you should do it. I'm like, man, I'm good. Cause like they ain't, I mean, I believe in shit being in demand, pardon me, but at the same time, it used to be at a point where I was like constantly just releasing shit, but now I kind of got more quality control, as I should say, of like what I put out and when I put it out, even with the podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like, I do that all the time too with y'all. Like I reach out to you with DDT, like I know some shit is dope and I'd be like, hey, y'all think I should put out a mixtape or y'all think I should do this? And niggas be like, hey, do it. Like, or just go ahead and do it. And meanwhile, I'm overthinking some shit. That's part of anxiety. If you go back and look at that post, I was just looking at all the symptoms and was like, fuck, man, I got like shitty anxiety. That is crazy. Like, just realizing how bad it was. I was like, man. By then, I had already had the doctor's appointment, so I ain't really, I ain't had them symptoms to break down to her then, but damn.
Right. No, so, and like some of the stuff is a trip because it's almost like it could be anything. It could be a bad diet, or it could be anxiety, or it could be like you was drinking too much just based on the symptoms that you were naming. And like, it's like some of the stuff, like the regular stuff that you expect, like shortness of breath and sweaty palms and like inability to focus. Like those aren't necessarily things that like those aren't my symptoms of anxiety, but like procrastination are. or like not being able to advocate for myself is what they call it. Like, giving people one too many chances, stuff like that, because you don't want to approach a confrontational situation.
Yeah, we was just talking about that when I was like, you can't save everybody. I mean, me and my brother even had that conversation. Like, dang, it's like people you could believe in so much, but at some point you gotta be like, I can't save everybody. But you have it in your mind, like, damn, I want to help this person put everybody on.
Absolutely, and so especially because the type of work that we do, and like nobody's any stranger to it. It's just that, like for one, collaboration is a big part of our work, and for two, keeping everybody interested in order to make sure that collaboration happens is like the second biggest part, because it takes like 3 people to make a song, unless you like a rapper, producer, engineer, and if everybody's not on the same page, just like to say, it's like, 5 to 10 people who goes into throwing an event or shooting a video or like anything that you want to do to make money or to make a difference in your life. You usually need a team. And what we find a lot as creatives is that we have a hard time working with people. And so we think that like shutting up and being quiet about shit is the way to go. Or we think that being loud and demanding is the way to go.
That's a dope segue
what
too,
you was about to say.
Because I think you posed that question. It was like interesting how you was talking about the coping mechanisms early. Speaking of which, shout out to the coping mechanism by Hugo Biggs. That's a dope EP. Check it out. Shout out to you, Hugo.
Yes,
it's interesting how you brought that up because, like how you said, the creative process. Like, do you feel as though creating as a group all together is just discouraged in hip hop? Because we already know how to go with the writing shit. Like, oh, he ain't write his own shit, he ain't dope. And then on top of that, like, how do we defer from making sure we're still individuals, but and alienating ourselves? How do you defer that? Because, like you said, by not wanting to work in a group, you alienating yourself, right?
Right. And so I think that one of the ways that we defer from it is just like, so I always start at the beginning anytime I'm trying to find a solution for any problem. And so when I think about the origins of hip hop and stuff like that, it wasn't shit but a whole bunch of poor motherfuckers trying to figure out how to come up together. And so if one person had the lyrics, but another person had the voice and the swag, and if somebody else had some dance moves, and you had a DJ, then that's just what it was. And you guys moved as a unit. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Exactly. Cause it's a true story, right? So, but it's real shit. And so what people forget about stuff like that and like why all of these hip hop programs are so important right now is because they telling a real story about some shit that happened 50 years ago. And it's just it says a lot that we are still having this conversation about individuality in a way that's different than talking about what the individual can do for the whole. Like everybody want to be an individual because they want all to shine. Right. But it just so happens that
speaking as far as the writing shit, just to kind of punch in with that, more power to the people that is getting help to like write and create a song. I say this shit all the time. Like that be another part that hold up the process. I'm like, man, it's like I hate writing hooks. I tell niggas that all the time. I said I hate coming up with hooks. But nah, I'm gonna keep it 100. Like. If not all of my hooks, I've thought of them. If not majority, I would say, because I'm pretty sure I've done features where the feature has thought of the hook. I'll give you an example how the On Lane hook came about. Quick story. Mod. I heard that beat. I was like, I want Mod on that, right? I knew how diverse he could be with doing with recording, with writing rhymes and coming up with song concepts. So I sent that to him. I said, hey, I need a hook for this. I don't need a verse. I just need a hook. All right. And he sent back the hook, and it was mumble. And he put like a little auto-tune effect on there. I was like, what the fuck? At first, but it was like, I was like, damn, is my bullshit they're playing? But I kept listening to it. I was like, it was literally mumbling. It was like really no words. It was like you heard a little bit of it. So I was like, okay. Immediately I felt the way. I felt the way because I was, not in a bad sense, but I felt the way because I was like, damn, he done mumbled the fucking hook. And I was like, I could be lazy and keep it. But then I was like, me just having a hook where it's just mumbling, that ain't my style. And I was like, okay, I could either create some words around this. So what I did was I took the words I could make out through the mumbling, right? And I built the hook around it.
Mm-hmm.
I referenced it and recorded it, even though, mind you, he came up with this melody. Or that old lane is all mod, and I forget which part. When they see me, I be going in the wind. And then, like, he count me out again. Y'all have to hear Own Lane for the people that's listening. What the fuck is he talking about? Go listen to it. It's Own Lane. It's on all the platforms where you listen to and buy your music or whatever. Hello Victory EP is what it's on. Produced by Beethoven, Black Beethoven. But anyway, I had to plug that right quick. But those were the few words that he used and had in the mumble. And I was like, okay, I gotta build something around it. He's saying, count me out again. And then he's saying, going in the wind. I don't know what the fuck, like how to. So anyway, I sat there. It took me about like an hour, and I'm like, all right, fuck it. Sent it. I referenced it, recorded it in the studio. And I was like, I don't like my voice doing the hook. So I sent it back, and I'm like, yo, this is what I got. If you could redo that with those words. I wanted to make sure the words weren't whack. Like, let me know what you think. If you could redo it with those words. He like, bet. I think within like a couple days, he shot it back to me. Song got mixed. There's the song. So it was weird because it turned out to be a dope song with what I was skeptical about, because I'm like, damn, I technically feel like I got to give a writer credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm so used to creating my own hooks and my own verses. Like, I still create my own verses. Let's not get it twisted. But when it comes to hooks, I hate having to come up with hooks. I say this all the time about Common. I said Common got through a whole fucking career without really having. I ain't heard a lot of Common like new shit since Nobody's Smiling. But I'm like, Common got through a damn career without having to do hooks. He's normally had scratches and cuts. Somebody else doing it.
Yeah, he let the beat ride.
You know, or that. You know what I'm saying? So, if you think about it.
But that's crazy though. And so like, but that's an example, that's another example of collaboration, right? It's like knowing your strengths and weaknesses. And if you know that your strength isn't hooks, but you know that you got somebody that you can team up with, then why would you like take the opportunity to create some dope shit off the table? And then look at like the response that you got for On Lane, right? Yeah. Like that's one of them. That's one of them shits, right? Yeah. Right. And so think about how we treat Drake, right? And just anytime he drops a song, it's super speculation about how many people helped him write it and who was in the studio. Just enjoy the song, but also don't disrespect what that artist's process is, because like we saying, especially as creators, a lot of the time creating, even though it's a job for us, is also how we cope. And you can't really judge people, you know, making decisions on what's best for, you know, for their mental health or for their pockets. You know what I mean? Right.
Exactly. Like, you don't listen. Nobody listens to the, wait, is the song called Know Yourself? With the, I was running through the 6 with my walls. That shit, like, niggas. So y'all telling me niggas listen to that? I want that Bugatti just to hurt. Niggas listen to that and be like, man, he ain't write this shit, man. Nigga, it's a fucking melody. It's a fucking hook. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, the verses where Drake really just spazzing, I think he's writing that. But the hooks and shit, like the hits, he ain't writing all that. Or he probably just getting a flat out reference track and just rolling with it. It is what it is.
I think, and so this is my take on like artists at Drake level, right? And this is the same thing for like Kanye, because like no diss, but you can go back to around somewhere between like 2008 and 2010 when Big Sean was working on the Finally Famous album. Yeah. But you go back and you hear those Kanye guest verses on certain songs, and you be like, damn, that sounds like Sean's flow.
Sean all through Graduation. Right? Am I mistaken or am I not? All
you know what I'm saying? Well, you know, I never really even considered, but that makes sense.
Yeah, remember, like, if you think about Graduation, like the whole, it got to be 'cause I'm seasoned, haters give me them salty looks. Lowry's, like, come on now, like, you don't think that's Sean? Like, we wouldn't think about it then, but then when it really came out, it became more surface that Kanye was getting help, and then especially when Side of Prince broke it down, I'm like, okay, maybe niggas ain't really writing full out verses for Ye all the time, But some of these shits, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was the one joint? That's still
Well,
my
but
shit.
I was going somewhere with that because that's what I was about to say. So like, you could take a nigga like Kanye, who we know can write on his own, and we know who can produce, but at the same time has had ghostwriters and ghost producers because of the size of his brand and what it takes for him to stay competitive, but also keep that, nigga, it's like when Oreos drop a new Oreo, right? So you know that the classic one is the shit hands down, but like because the Oreo brand is on the package, you might fuck with a red velvet Oreo or a golden Oreo, you know what I mean? Right. And so that's the same thing that you experience when you start getting up there with like Kanye and Dr. Dre and Diddy. It's like, it's not that these niggas don't have talent, it's that they have to run a business, and so that they have to put some other things in place to ensure quality control.
Exactly. It becomes a brand.
We get caught up with this whole
you can trust. How you gonna trust my brand if I can't really give you quality because I'm
if it's not consistent.
So much shit and ain't consistent. Oh shit, that just goes back to what we were saying earlier at the beginning when I was talking about like, yeah, you know, I gotta focus on quality. When you were saying it like, yeah, is you still managed to do it. Man, hey, listen, y'all, I need hooks. Like, I can get a lot more songs done if niggas just send me hooks. Like, for real. And like I tell you, look.
Probably get a lot more everything done.
Prime example, like these podcasts we've been doing, what did I say when I reached out to you? I said, damn, man, like, I would be more apt to podcast more if I had like what did I say? Like a produced show, not produced in the sense like, all right, at this time we're going to get on and we're going to say it at this point, but at least to have like a structure of like how we want to go about the show. And I was like, man, I got to just reach out and kind of get some help, man. like for real, like niggas do it all the time. Remember I was telling you, I was like, if you look at certain podcasts, you'd be like, damn, I thought it was just my man just holding it down. They be having help. Niggas well, okay, yeah, so-and-so, he got the camera. So-and-so, he come up with the topics and we give our input or whatever. Like, I was just looking at the Joe Budden podcast. I'm looking like, oh, all these niggas contribute to this? Like, I thought, you know, I'm thinking like maybe it's just Joe and Rory and Mal or something. No, it's like it's a team. And that's why that show is dope. That's why The Brilliant Idiots is dope. That's why I feel like the podcast we listen to in Detroit is dope. NWP. Random Tuesdays even. Who else? The Connected Experience. You got shows, Shop Talk, another one, Shop Talk podcast. Shout out to them. Like, it's shows that I listen to and I'm like, damn, them niggas are like a team. And I knew I was like, okay. Remember I said it? I was like, I keep saying, remember I said it like the listeners was there when I told you this shit. Like, remember we was there? Remember? But no, like, I remember I told you that I was like, I said, I don't want to go the route with podcasting like how I did with my career as a music artist because I put off help for so long that it's like, you know, like niggas start probably feeling, well, shit, Tag got it. He good. He can do it on his own. You know what I'm saying? And that really delays your process. Like, hey, I'm telling anybody out there that strong will independent shit is cool, but you need a team. And I'm not necessarily saying a team like as far as who's your brand manager and who your publicist is and who booking your show. I'm talking about like a team as far as like even that creative process, unless you just that fucking dope. You know what I'm saying? Like to where it's like you just got it. Cause shit, let's take a Kendrick, for example. You think he sat up there and wrote all up To Pimp the Butterfly and and he even guided the niggas that was producing the shit as far as the band, the live instruments and everything? No, that shit was an effort.
He probably did, but he probably was like trying to kind of like a musical director, but also that nigga don't know how to play no instruments. So whether he was directing them or chopping it, you know, so I definitely exactly that. And so like we kind of get trumped up on what our abilities are and try to do everything instead of just prioritizing what it is we really good at and then just letting somebody else get the shine.
Exactly. That all contributes.
And that shit'll make you anxious in and of itself.
I was about to say that itself is important about this as far as being an entrepreneur, period. That all falls under that. That can fuck with your psyche. Like you just like, damn, I gotta get this shit. It's so much music I be wanting to put out, but I be like, okay, it gotta be good. I don't want to be that artist no more where it's like, fuck it, I did a song, let me put it out. It's like, nah, it gotta be good. That shit needs to be like, hey, that's dope. I respect, because people start respecting the fact more that you took your time, you know what I'm saying, before just dumping the product out there. Like, it gets to a point where, like, niggas just throw anything out there. Period. So I
I
don't
hear
want to
you.
be that cat.
And
For listeners of the Lead and Be Legendary podcast, Vinyl Me Please is a Vinyl Record of the Month club, one of the dopest record clubs, in fact. Every month, Vinyl Me Please features one album that is essential to the modern vinyl collection and sends it out to thousands of members worldwide. So basically what's done is they celebrate one dope vinyl record every month and deliver an exclusive pressing of it right to your door. They'll also include an original 12 by 12 album-inspired artwork and a cocktail recipe to sweeten the deal even more. What else is included? You get special edition vinyl records you're not going to get anywhere else, flat out. Get it? Because vinyl was flat? All right, whatever. When they say special edition, it means exactly that. Vinyl Me works closely with both the record label and artists to come up with something you actually can't find anywhere else. So I'm talking colored vinyl, custom lyric books, exclusive artwork, personal notes from the artist, and much more. The only thing that you won't have a surprise for each month is how much you end up just vibing to the music, obviously though. As far as the membership, it has flexible and easy memberships that work for you. We know that trusting someone else, well, I guess that kind of depends on who they are, but trusting someone else to curate or let's just say put together your record collection can turn out kind of whack. You've had your whole life to fine-tune your taste, and we certainly don't want to get in the way of that. That's why they have swaps. At Vinyl Me Please, with swaps, you can exchange a feature record with one from the VMP archive or a limited set of store titles. This way, even though you're trying new things, you won't be forced to take a title you already have or know in advance it isn't right for you. That plus, there's no contract, no strings, no guilt trips. You really can cancel at any time. There's no hidden fees either. And most importantly, top shelf customer service to make sure you get the answers and help you need as soon as humanly possible. To join their record club, go to www.joinvmp.com/LABL. Again, that's www.joinvmp.com/LABL to join Vinyl Me Please today. The link is in the episode's description.
And so what else do we have over here? And so, so crazy ass celebrities, right? Or celebrities who sound crazy, but actually be saying some real stuff. And one of the things that reminded me of that was, I think you and me was talking about Jim and Andy. Have you seen that?
No, what is Jim and Andy? I think I asked you, you might have said it.
So Jim and Andy is this documentary about Jim Carrey playing a guy named Andy. I think his name was Andy Kaufman.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure.
That was my man that was on Taxi, I think.
Yeah. He played my man's on Taxi. But, I guess Andy Kaufman was kind of crazy. And so it was like the perfect role for Jim Carrey, right? Because in the movie you find out that Jim Carrey kind of lived like this super kind of offbeat alternative type of lifestyle where he'll like go in the middle of the field and holler to the universe that he's ready for whatever his blessing is, or like, and so like the crazy part about the movie is that basically he was, so method acting or character acting is basically when your character on set for the whole time. And when Jim Carrey was shooting the movie about Andy Kaufman's life, which is what the documentary is about, he was Andy the whole time. And so he was doing crazy shit on set, like driving like golf carts into the trailers and like flipping shit over. But it was for the role. It was like, and he was saying that he couldn't help it. He just kind of disappeared into it. And so, but he also said that how he dealt with trauma in his life was he always manifested a role that would help him process whatever was going on. So like when he did the Truman Show, he felt like, he was in like all of his roles. He said all of his roles were connected to something that was going on psychologically or mentally with him that he was trying to process, whether it was like the death of a family member or going through a breakup. And as a matter of fact, he said, I think he was going through a divorce or a breakup when he did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And that whole movie is about erasing the memory or your memory of falling in love with somebody.
Oh shit. I've never seen this movie. Where the fuck did
you know
it
what
come
I'm saying? Yeah. Shit's crazy, bro. And so so this is like where it get really cool, right? Because that shit reminds me of Jhené Aiko's first album, which had
you
two songs on there.
What? The Eternal something?
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I remember that.
And Jhené Jhené Aiko's first album, like the first official one, had a song called Eternal Sunshine and a song called Spotless Mind. And that was kind of how I actually got put onto what the movie is. But just kind of like the way that Jhené Aiko and like even Frank Ocean and those type of people use movies and like classic pop culture to express themselves emotionally, that's a form of coping.
Damn. I gotta see this movie.
But we'll fuck around and hate on some shit like that. Like,
oh, them niggas is crazy. So like,
you know what I'm saying?
So basically, just to sum it up, like, this is the way I'm processing. You saying like to deal with certain shit, he would kind of become a role that he once played, basically.
Well, no, like, so, I believe in like metaphysics and like manifestation and all of that type of stuff. And like, I'm still pretty Christian for anybody who's listening, but like that goes with it. And so one of the things that Jim Carrey talks about in this movie is about any time that he was going through something in life, he would always end up with a role that would help him kind of process whatever was going on in his personal life. So it wasn't that he would become these characters to solve the problem. Right. It's that the universe, through the laws of manifestation, would give him these roles so that he could like explore like his real life through his work.
It's almost like perfect timing.
Exactly.
In a sense. That's crazy.
So a lot of stuff like that happened to me too. And I think you and I had conversations where you'd be like, man, I was just talking about that, or I was just thinking about that. And it's like, you know, you could tell somebody that, or like, if, like we could say that, we could say it in a way that's relatable to everybody. Like, yeah, man, I was just thinking about that, or I was hoping. But like, if you say something like, yeah, man, I had really set my intention to make this happen, or I was really, you know, focusing on manifesting this opportunity. People be like, hey, nigga, what is you talking about?
It's like when I had to correct you and let you know, not to go back to it when I was like, when I had to let you know that, dog, Timbaland did not do the takeover beat. I was like, I literally said to y'all, the Lord put it on my heart to get in contact with you. The Lord did put it on your heart. Like, no, Kanye West did that. You know?
That was important.
Hov did that, so
but that wasn't because I didn't know. That wasn't because I didn't know, though. That was because the Lord wanted you to tell me to stop smoking so damn much.
Lord. Like I said, well, damn. That's crazy, though. So I wonder, like, was it the law of manifestation where they gave Denzel the role to play Alonzo? Like, was he going through something that required him to have to play this role? You know, because he bodied that role. So...
Well, I mean, probably. And I think that's just kind of, cause like take you for instance, right? And like when you and I have talked about, you know, how far you've come as far as putting more of your personal life in your music. Yeah. And it's just something, it's either something that you come right out the gate with or that you have to grow into. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I think that people enjoy about Kendrick Lamar is that like he came out the gate just like throwing his whole personal self, or at least what we thought was his whole personal self. From the
perspective of others, it was just a lot of introspective shit we was getting from him.
Exactly. And so like that's all that people be wanting, and like that's all we want from ourselves a lot of the time. But people are afraid of that level of engagement. Mm-hmm. Because that's why Kendrick can come out with Good Kid, Mad City and everybody in the hood fuck with it, but then come out with To Pimp a Butterfly and, you know, it have such mixed reviews because it's not necessarily something that tastes familiar. You know what I'm saying?
I just wanna fuck. That was the shit.
Exactly.
I got my nut. That song is cold.
That shit was the shit, right? And like I think I like that better than I like Damn, even though Damn is it's up there. But the thing that made everybody gravitate towards Damn is that it had a more commercial sound and that it tasted familiar. So it was easier to say it's good.
Yep. That's it. He did the medicine that disguises candy. Basically, that's all he did with Damn.
That's
That's really it.
Yeah, but that's also one of them niggas who be sounding crazy too. He be talking about committing suicide on the album.
Yeah, he gave you like
just all kind of shit.
He gave you Element, but at the same time he gave you shit like the I forget the specific name of the song, but we got his uncle on there and he talking about how he really Israelites and everything. So it was like he snuck some stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? The whole thing about this what God feel like, but he gave it a little bounce. That's all he did.
Yeah, but though it was important that he did that because could you imagine something going further left than To Pimp a Butterfly? Like even though that's what a lot of people really wanted. I mean, like it could have, but he would have left his audience behind.
Yeah, absolutely, because that was the main thing that people kept talking about. Like, damn, what else can he do? How do you top that? So that's why I still like mixed reviews on people saying that whether or not Damn is better than To Pimp a Butterfly. You know, the interesting part about those albums that those albums are so timeless that you can pick up and listen to this podcast like years later and be like, yeah, man, this album still go. Like for real.
Exactly. And cause he makes timeless music and it don't have no shelf life in real life. Like I could put on all 5 albums like for real and just play them from beginning to end in any order.
That's what it's about. Like I hate.
And that really.
I mean, I was not to cut you. I was gonna say.
But this is somebody.
Well, go ahead. I ain't want to keep bumping until you.
I was gonna say. Because this is somebody whose mental health is not constantly called into question, but it's been mentioned and it's worth observing. Yeah. Just because everybody don't have the highest opinion of a black Israelite.
Exactly.
Or a black man who was raised, in the hood. It's
really interesting too. And just another album I want to bring up is Fever, Black Milk's album. Like that's an interesting album to me because
shout out.
I hear the growth. You know what I'm saying? You gotta think I've been listening since day one. So it's like I hear the growth. Like I can go back and listen to A Popular Demand, right? And be like, damn, this shit is dope. It's still classic, but the content that he got on this though, like even here, I seen him on Sway, and Sway started talking about True Lies, and he was saying how that's one of his favorite songs on the album. And the crazy thing about True Lies is those were conversations that I literally remember sitting like in that same room with him and the rest of the family, like just having these talks about religion and how we wasn't, they ain't teach us what they were supposed to be teaching us in school, like all that. So when he, you know what I'm saying? You just had conversations with people or you hear artists say stuff in interviews, but they ain't speaking about it in their music. So it threw me for a loop when I caught him do that. And he's a teacher, something lost. I don't know the lyrics fully yet, but when I heard it, I was like, oh shit, like he really went there with it. Laugh Now, Cry Later, like, it's interesting because that's another album that we could talk about in years later. Niggas are like, damn, yo, this shit was fire. Like, you can listen to that shit and be like, damn, because it's touching so much on like where the world is at. I don't even. Well, I would say the country, where the country is at. So like,
I mean, but the world too, because you got to remember, like, especially with the internet, that the world is just smaller off rip anyway. But anytime, like, we could be the victim of a nuclear missile within like 20 minutes,
that's anxiety
or
alone.
Vice versa, then, exactly. And so like, imagine, trying to go through your day to day, just going to your 9 to 5 or creating or spending time with your family or trying to have fun and just like knowing that at any second, like your life can really be changed and like you powerless over it.
What they said was a meteorite. When that shit hit, nigga, I was just putting my daughter down for bed. And I'm just walking downstairs like, what the fuck was that? Like, oh, neighbors, this nigga next door fooling. Like, just gonna find out the fucking meteor man is trying to get to town or whatever, some shit like that. I'm like, dog, what the fuck? And it's around that same time that we was under, supposedly gonna be under attack from a nuclear missile. I'm like, dog, what the fuck is going on? Like, that's crazy. That's anxiety. You know what I'm saying? So like the world dealing with that shit.
And that's what I was going to say. That was going to be my next point, is that a lot of people who are like in the energy work and stuff like that just feel like the energetic environment we in, as far as like the vibes that's going around, everything is really anxious just because of the climate that we existing in with all the fuck shit that's going on.
I think that, you know what I think is interesting is that I think the people that pick up on vibes and energy the most are children, and then when you start becoming more of age. I have never been able to pick up on energy so much now than when I was probably like in my early 20s or my teenage years. Dude, I'm talking about certain people, like it's certain people just like, Man, I mean, you don't know certain people, so it's like you ain't supposed to trust them off rip anyway, but it just be certain people like, man, that vibe I get from them, it's just like, I don't feel right about them. And they can seem like on the surface, like, oh, they just all right, but it's like, no, I get a weird feeling about that party. They're going to have to show me, otherwise, because it's like, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I think like, it's just a certain vibe. Like, okay, let's circle back to the fact that I was speaking about my daughter has autism. We could be out, but she picks up on energy so great. Oh, prime example. Okay. I ain't even saying when we be out, like we're at the grocery store or whatnot, but we could be outside during, let's say, the summertime, and I'm out there with her and she's on her bike. Certain people in the neighborhood come by and loud noises trigger her to the point where it's like, okay, like, damn, why? It's almost like, hey, damn, why you gotta be so fucking loud? With her, she'll cry. You know what I'm saying? She's kids, you don't really know. Speech ain't all the way there yet, so she don't really know how to express it. She just kind of cry like, fuck, this nigga annoying, like this loud shit. But then certain people, oh, hey, how y'all doing or whatever? And she'll look, wave back, hey, or just look and smile, look at me and smile, like, is it okay to say hi? But then there's certain people, like there's one lady across the street that always come out, hey, how y'all doing? Hey, you a great father. You a great dad. Just wave this older lady or whatever, but she like real, just loud and extra all the fucking time.
Your daughter don't fuck with her, huh?
Like she just cry, like just look like, until we get around the block and then be like on her bike or whatever and be like, all right, I'm good now. And then there's some people that just come out, oh, hey, how y'all doing? You know, that's it. Like, they see us outside and she be fine. I'm like, okay. I think it starts with the children. They start picking up on those, I guess I'd say wavelengths. And it's just like, I don't fuck with you. Like,
kids definitely be more hip than everybody else. My daughter don't fuck around with the fuck around either.
That's real. That's what we should get it from. That's what we should learn from. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's the whole ass nigga. All right. I'm going off your energy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's crazy.
No, that's real life though, for real.
Yeah, but it
comes
with age.
And so it definitely comes with age. I think one of the things that I'm really enjoying about getting older is you definitely pay more attention to the vibes, but just like it kind of make you hip to the bullshit, it kind of make you more patient with it too, because you could just kind of read people. You be like, oh, they trying to shoot a move, but they ain't really about shit. So it's not really worth, the type of reaction that I would normally give it.
Yep, that's real shit.
You know what I mean?
That's 100% real shit. Like, you could pick up on certain language, like, man, they say that all the time. Them niggas ain't about to do it. They bullshitting.
Right.
But like, now, like, the big thing is like when you out and you come across niggas and you y'all talk about, oh yeah, we need to work together. Now back then it used to be a thing for me. Like, certain people would tell you like, oh, yo man, tag man, we need to work, man. We need to get together. And they'd be like, all right, bet. You get excited about it. You kind of go home, be like, yeah, man, so-and-so said they want to work. That's going to be dope. And then nothing ever surfaces or whatever. Now it's just like, certain niggas say, like, all right, man, he ain't for real about it. It's just, you got to show me otherwise, basically. Man, we covered a lot, man. Not too many topics. We covered a lot. We definitely did.
Yeah, this was a good episode, though, man. I'm excited to see how it turned out.
I want to get Hugo on because the funny thing is, I was listening to the episode he was on, a Connected Experience, and the whole time, it was SJ. Likely it was SJ. I kept laughing because they was like, he a nerd. But it was just funny because I'm listening to it. I'm like, I was interested in this shit. I was interested, like, all right, what he talking about? Like, he was like, yeah, I got the album cover because, it's like these giants and whatever he was saying, they eat people or some shit he was saying. It was like, you could tell he was just like really into that shit. And I was like, damn, they laughing about it and they but they was into it at the same time. But I was like, shit, he ain't the only one. I said, let them niggas get novelists on or some niggas around that realm or whatever. I said, shit, me,
no, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a nerd.
Most of them niggas.
A lot of us are. We like remember what I told you? Stop doing it again. Remember what I said the one time, nigga? We was at the liquor store and I told you. But no, when I brought it up and I was like, I get inspiration from like certain cartoons. Like, if I'm watching like a cartoon that's based off of like Marvel or DC superhero or something or anything that's just like action as far as cartoon, I draw inspiration from that. Somehow, it's not intentional. It's not like I sit down like, let me cut this cartoon on and let me try to think of some raps. Nah, it just be like you watching. It be like, I think because it takes you away from reality. I think sometimes you kind of got to go into this shit that's not reality. You kind of got to go into that, I guess I would say, fantasy world. And that's where the inspiration may lie. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes
definitely
you might cloud your brain, like focusing so much on reality and trying to create around that. You can do it, but sometimes you might turn on with some shit and it just seem cloudy. Like, I'll write shit and be like, I was inspired by what happened. I'm inspired by what's going on right now, but damn, it seemed cloudy because it's so, the mood I was in is like, it's so real. Like, shit. Damn, now I gotta find a beat that ain't as cloudy. I don't want it to, I don't want it to just be drowned. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just be dark. Like, nah. I don't like being that guy. Like, I don't want to create the dark music. How can I put it? I can speak to it or what's going on if it's something that's like dark or something that's cloudy. But I don't need the production to be that cloudy though. You know, so.
Well, you know what? Because one of the things that I wanted us to get into is like different types of music that we listen to, like as far as our mood.
Oh, that is one of the topics. I didn't even realize that was a segue. I'm dope.
And then kind of touching back on the like the different types of coping mechanisms too, because it sounds like, you know, I think we already kind of touched on recording being one of those, and I know that like writing is one for me, but like you were saying, like you don't necessarily like creating dark stuff or you don't set out to do it. I'm the type of nigga where I don't like, some of my best shit be dark as hell, but it's not because I set out for it to be that way. It's just I kind of had to let the darkness pass through. And I think a lot of people relate to that because I don't think anybody chooses to be like, I'm just about to write a sad ass song or whatever.
That's whack. Let me be sad.
Yeah, no, that's whack. Well, for sure. But just real quick though, because I know we're trying to wrap it up. So one of my
at the top of your page and shit. This is my sad emoji.
This is my sad verse. Keep you focused on it and shit.
Look at it every time you go off topic.
Be sad.
Like, no. Be sad. Be sad.
Be sadder, bro. But coping mechanisms though. So I know that like a couple of yours is podcasts, and that's kind of how you got into podcasting, right? It's just kind of using it as a way to kind of, you know, keep your brain busy, maybe relieve some anxiety, give you some other shit to think about. And that's definitely cool how you could take something that was meant to be a stress reliever and really turn it into an opportunity for yourself to make it a regular part of your life and not just a hobby. Shit. So shout out to you for that.
A lot of times, and just to kind of add to it, sometimes I won't record just because I'm listening to podcasts and enjoying. I'm a fan of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you gotta fall back and be a fan in order to keep creating. That's the simple way I can put it. You know what I'm saying? I don't like trying to outdo the people that's in the same field as me with content. Like, oh, so-and-so just dropped the episode, I gotta follow up. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, it's like, all right, I'm gonna enjoy this episode and another one is like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm gonna be a fan. I'm still a fan of the fucking culture. I didn't want to say culture, but I'm a fan of the culture, basically. May is Urban Podcast.
I mean, it is a culture. May is Urban Podcasting Month for sure. No doubt. Shout out to the Connected Experience podcast. I know that for me, and like kind of something that I picked up from you is the playlist as a coping mechanism. And actually, what I was gonna say is because I'm still trying to find out what mine are outside of like smoking weed and working. But in the meantime, working is something that really kind of helps me deal with my anxiety because it makes me feel like I'm in control of my destiny, of what I'm about to earn, of whatever is about to go down over the next couple of weeks or whatever. And so like now a part of my job description is building playlist. And I just dropped my first one for Humble Fly, called High as Fuck, which is our 420 playlist. So make sure you stream that at www.humblefly.com. you can only stream it there, but it has exclusives from Atlantic, Bruiser Brigade, and Keely Ferguson, and hot new shit from Monica Blair. So definitely make sure you check that out. Monica Blair got some new shit out, and I'm the only one who has it. So.
Oh man, fuck you for that. Like I used to go
so make sure you stream that.
I saw the song. I was like, oh, some old shit because she ain't put out nothing in a minute. Well, okay, I see what you're doing. So that's one of the cool parts of my job too. That kind of helps with my anxiety. And one of the cool things about putting together the playlist is that all the songs that you see on there are songs that I actually reached out to people like Thursday night for. And they were just like really nice enough and believed in what I do enough to just email me joints. And I had, about 30 songs before the end before Friday afternoon. I don't even think I don't know if I saw myself on.
No, I think we were talking about it, but I know you don't really do the ganja.
I didn't get put on there because I don't smoke weed, but I can't. Okay.
Well,
y'all niggas selfish.
Well,
That's what y'all niggas do. I see what y'all do.
but. So anyway, I'm about to. Don't act like I ain't asked you. I ain't gonna blast you on your own show.
You did. Okay, you did. You said. Okay. You think you got a song?
I made recommendations and everything.
I said, probably. I think you said it. You was like maybe Paper and Down, and I was like, yeah, I guess so. Cause you ain't using. You like that nigga ain't agree, so I ain't using it. That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of fire playlists I can go listen to.
You do. But listen though, because this is what I'm gonna do for you. Hell yeah, you do. But so I actually just started putting together the second one because I want to make these monthly. And so kind of how I create stuff, whether it's like a campaign for a client or some shit that I'm working on for myself. It's kind of like how Jim Carrey do his shit. I just kind of take what's going on in my real life and try to process it through my art or through whatever it is I'm creating. And so the next playlist is going to be called Wanderlust and Coney Runs, just because that's what I like to do in the summertime. I like to wander around and go to Coney and think about what my next move is. So I'll put you on that one, Tag.
My mind wander, I guess. I fit perfect. I like Coney. I fit perfect on there.
No, and so like really what it's about is just like, this is like a Midwestern way of coping and really like a black way of coping. Like everybody in every hood, it's always some niggas riding around, smoking, drinking or whatever, and stopping at the Coney or like the diner or whatever it is in your hood. You know what I mean? And like, honestly, this is how we process a lot of our problems. And, whether it's healthy or unhealthy, it's real,
That's real. That's definitely some real shit. Cause me, I didn't realize that was a coping mechanism for me until like the other day while I was making a playlist. I'm like, cause you think, I have it in my mind like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put this playlist together, and it's only gonna take this much amount of time or whatever. And you be fucked around and look and be like, damn, all this time done passed. I'm trying to put this shit together because you start finding so many songs. Like mine be themed. You know what I'm saying? Like I still got the Nice Out playlist or whatever, and I still add to it gradually. Or I remove some songs, but then, I done went on the deep end. Now I'm trying to do it with videos, so. You know what I'm saying? So the one I'm putting out with that about to be so fire. Like I was almost up late as fuck trying to put that shit together. I was like, man, I'm gonna fuck around and not send this out to nobody and just be watching these videos myself. Cause this shit's so ill. My brother, look, Black Beethoven, if you listening, you gonna lose your shit. And my brother Zoe, like y'all gonna lose y'all shit when y'all see the one that I'm doing for the video. So I say that.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you gotta hurry up and put yours out so I can put mine out.
Yeah, you did.
I'm gonna let you go
say
first,
like,
though.
yeah, I got one too. Yep. It's all like, okay. You know, swipe my ID in front of me like before I even put mine out.
I'm just saying, nigga. You gotta share, bro.
He didn't put me on the 420 one. Like, damn, I know all the people I know that smoke weed.
It's alright. I'm gonna put you on Wanderlust and Coney Runs. What's your favorite Coney? Matter of fact, that's gonna be one of the questions I put on social media.
They don't always have them in the hood.
Grilled chicken. No, not what's your favorite Coney meat. What's your favorite Coney item? Like, what's your favorite Coney? Let's rep your hood.
Shit, man, that's a lot of them. Shit, you got.
Man, L. George is on Joy Road and Evergreen.
I would say L. George is like shit. L. George is in general low key. To be honest with you. And I was gonna say,
No, everybody on the west side like Omega.
oh yeah, I was gonna be typical and say like oh shit, Lafayette, American. No, like it's like them is not the best ones.
Don't nobody even go there except for tourists.
It's really just that's all I'm about to say. That's all it really is. Like that's just the thing to say when tourists. There's niggas that fuck with it, but I mean, shit, it don't really make a difference to me. I got a picture somewhere. I think we was in American and niggas was like mad, like, oh y'all in American, Coney. Y'all like, yeah, man, nigga, Lafayette looked kind of dirty, man. I didn't want to go in there. Shit, I was straight. Like, I'm good. Like, yep. Shit, man.
Hell yeah. So yeah, definitely Joy Road and Evergreen for me for the L Georges.
Shit, we covered a lot though. Damn, I'm looking at the time. And you?
Yeah, we about a minute. I mean, an hour and 20
y'all
in.
For whatever Dean was eating the whole entire damn episode. This nigga was chewing and never swallowed what he was eating.
It was a piece of gum after a while. I'm sorry, you can
either
hear
that
it.
or a Slim Jim. Like this nigga was.
Snap it to a Slim Jim.
Nigga was eating a Slim Jim or a ginseng stick or whatever. My cousin just always had them shits.
Alright, I'll have better etiquette next time, y'all.
Damn.
My bad. Thanks for listening, everybody.
God, shit, you good. The fucking podcast, y'all know who y'all are. The podcast episodes I had to listen to when niggas eating and chewing, and you can hear them drinking and swallowing. They drinking shit on the podcast. You probably good money.
Ice clinking in the background and
good
shit.
Money for real. But hey, we ain't doing it in the beginning. Drop your
That's a
socials
bet,
where they can
man.
find you at. Starting with Twitter, since you hardly be on there.
Oh, that's a bet. So I have taken my talents back to Twitter, and you can follow me at Art Dealer Dean, ArtDealerDean. It's gonna be the same thing for Instagram, except it's art.dealer.dean. Follow me. I be talking a lot of shit. I also be taking a lot of pictures with a lot of rappers and your favorite people from around Detroit. Also make sure you follow Humble Fly and visit www.humblefly.com for the latest in Detroit entertainment and the latest music from Detroit and beyond.
There it is. And then you got me. I guess I got to drop the label ones first. LABL Music on Twitter. LABL Music on Instagram. Lead and Be Legendary on Facebook. As far as myself, you got at nametag ALXNDR on Twitter. And it's at nametag Alexander on Instagram. And the nametag Alexander Facebook fan page as well, because I deleted the Facebook app from my personal page. So don't fuck with me on there. I'll let you know if I'm back on there. Just hit me on the messenger if you really need me. But yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I'm working on new music, so just expect some new shit coming real soon. I know it sounds cliche, but people that know me know that I'm working. I ain't really just trying to rush nothing out there. Taking my time, give y'all some quality. That felt real natural the way that I said
That's
it.
what's up.
So I ain't gonna add nothing extra to it and fuck it up. But yeah. Until next time. We out.